Let me tell you, there's nothing like spending a month trapped in an attic with a Resident Evil box set to make you appreciate wide open areas. I really don't care for the dark or confined spaces anymore, to the point where even black borders on videos cause me to break out in a cold sweat. That's why this review is going to be presented in alfresco vision.
Resident Evil.
Can you imagine a world where a company could be rich and powerful enough to control governments? Of course not. It's impossible. But in Resident Evil, that nightmare scenario is real. The Umbrella Corporation is the richest and most powerful company in the world with many happy employees. Unfortunately, it only takes one bad egg to spoil a basket, and they release the deadly T-virus, which causes the computer to go fuck it and release more T-virus and makes the elevators take the piss entirely. Our hero Alice awakes in a mansion, and for a minute the film appears to be based on the Resident Evil series of video games, so thankfully Slipknot burst in to put a stop to that boring shit.
The experience of playing Resident Evil is like literally being in that mansion and having to fight all those mutants.
They storm the Umbrella Lab and end up in one of the more punishing Crystal Maze challenge rooms. Deciding not to buy out the lumps of people who got locked in, the crew soon realise there are zombies on site and begin unloading like a SWAT team neutralising a streamer. Thank you for your service. They find the main computer, who is a little girl, and you know she is evil because of her English accent. And they say these movies are unrealistic. Bad people. The gang then proceed to the industrial zone. Up! Avoid the zombies! Climb! Don't get bitten! Up. Come on! Down! Up. Unfortunately, it's another lock-in.
I think it's kind of absurd to try and look at a movie like Resident Evil and say, all these guys shooting guns at zombies, which is a fantasy, is gonna affect our kids. But George Bush is blowing up another country right now.
Having not won a single crystal, a dejected team hop on the last train home, but a licker tries to stop them. They come up with the clever plan to hit it, and then give it friction burn bad enough that it bursts into flames. Alice and Man make it back to the Resident Evil set and sit down to chat about what they've learned from this experience and the pros and cons of capitalism, when suddenly the Chemical Brothers show up and take Man and say, inject him with the sequel juice. Alice wakes up in Resident Evil 2 and Slipknot play us out. Now, I'm not a musician, but I'm not convinced that this fella is actually contributing. Oh my god. Right. Listen up, you drunk.
Okay.
See here?
Yeah.
Right, I need you to turn those over, and I need you to put them in the correct order. What you'll see here is all the sequel names of the Resident Evil films.
Okay. That is... One of them has... It's very desert-y looking. And then at some point... I've only seen one of these. And then at some point... She's loads of clones. So I'm going to say Afterlife happens there. And based off your reaction, I'm going to say the final chapter is not the final chapter. And to make up for the fact that it's not the final chapter, there's then Retribution. Let me swap those two.
So are you confident? Are you locked in?
I'm going to lock that in.
You were actually...
You
were
close.
pretty much spot on, and then a last minute wobble.
Okay.
You feel good? Do you feel bad?
I feel bad.
They just mean just anything.
That is just a load of words. I should have put the final chapter last.
Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Raccoon City is full of T-virus, and there's only one road in or out, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Things are going really badly, illustrated by this woman committing suicide, which is so sad the director adds this cool zoom in on her corpse. Umbrella seal everyone inside the city to die from the deadly virus that they created. And of course everyone starts criticizing Umbrella for being evil. But how many of those same people use Umbrella products every day? It's actually very hypocritical because you can't complain about the bad thing a company does if you use a thing a company makes. It's very hypocritical. Jill Valentine and friends take refuge from the zombie hordes in a church. Then the reporter lady says, "I'm scared, I'm leaving," and guess what? Oh yeah, the zombies. Things are all getting a little too cerebral, so to get us back on track, Alice then comes through the church window on a motorbike and runs over the liquor and then turns and drives into the liquor, but backflips first so that the bike hits the liquor and they go into the air, and Alice shoots the guns and the bullets come out and go into the bike and it explodes.
Every time we feel the film might be lagging a bit, we just cut to a close-up of Milla.
Wanting to avoid zombies, the group make their way through a graveyard and oh, I don't believe it. What are the chances? Nothing is actually happening, so Umbrella activates Sequel Man, who fires his sequel gun at the movie until it looks like something has happened. He also has robot vision because of the T-virus. At this point, the series is still modest enough to suggest Alice needs a harness to run down the side of a building, but that will all change soon, don't worry. This film was shot in Toronto back when most film crews wouldn't go there due to SARS. Remember SARS? It feels strange to have nostalgia for an outbreak, but here we are. Badman forces Alice to fight Sequel Man, who begins to have flashbacks of when he was human, because it was only 15 hours ago. Sequel Man remembers what he had for breakfast yesterday and starts to cry. Alice is also sad and tells Badman, "To you, he is nothing more than Sequel Man, but to me, he's Prequel Man." Umbrella then launch a nuke at the city and take out all 150 zombies in one go. Alice awakes in a lab and now has the ability to kill a man by looking at him through a security camera. Oddly, this is true. Her friends just happen to know exactly where and when Alice would awaken and escape and show up to take her away from Umbrella. A happy ending. Maestro, some Slipknot to play us out if you please. Oh wait, oh no, Alice has evil robot vision now too.
I should have put the final chapter last.
Richie?
Yeah. Oh no. And the extinction would happen before the apocalypse. The extinction, would happen before the apocalypse. And then someone's really mad.
A little louder, sorry.
Sorry, they're a little mad. Someone's mad about it, so they want
You're bothering the customer.
retribution. And then you may think that the final chapter goes at the end, but what actually happens is then you got the final chapter, and then afterlife is just when
You
everyone's.
seem panicked.
Everyone's having.
Are you confident?
No.
Is that none right? Is it none right?
Yeah, I've got none of them right. Yeah, none of them. None. I mean, I thought I was gonna. I thought that this was a double bluff. I thought this was a double bluff.
But seeing it like that now, in retrospect now, seeing the final chapter being the last one to you.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was like a Phil Collins type deal where he does the final tour and then he does another final tour. And
Resident Evil Extinction.
Okay, sit tight because there's a lot to take in here. Firstly, there are Alice clones, loads of them. Also, almost all life on Earth has been wiped out. Continents are barren wastelands, forests simply gone, and every lake has dried up. How the T-virus caused lakes to dry up, I can't tell you. I guess nature just can't survive without people around to take such excellent care of it. Honestly, trees couldn't go one day without us. Claire Redfield herself shows up and is annoyed because there's no more grass to smoke. Really? But, I mean, hey, no judgment here. If you can't enjoy a few silly cigarettes after the apocalypse, then when can you? Umbrella, meanwhile, are still up to their old tricks underground, and the man in charge? Albert Wesker. The plan now is to use clone Alice blood to make the zombies smart enough to tame and become employees of Umbrella. Wesker and the other Umbrella bosses turn out to be ghosts, but the experiments seem to be working as the mindless zombies react positively to various Sony brand products. Alice finds a book that says Alaska is still okay and unlocks yet more psychic powers while she's asleep by making a load of rocks float. This is because of the T-virus, you see. Then a load of crows show up, like in that movie. The Crow? Alice creates a force field of psychic energy and uses her control of the elements to turn the sky aflame and kills all the birds.
I've got the advantage that I've spent, literally probably a month of my life playing the games. And you can't expect everyone on the set to have done that. You can't expect the director of photography to have played the games. But it's enough that I've done it because I'm there as a kind of check to kind of say, well, that kind of looks like Resident Evil, that's great, or that doesn't.
Alice tells everyone her plan to go to Alaska, and they all think Alice's plan is really good because Alice is really great, but before they set off they need supplies, so they go to Las Vegas, which is buried under sand because of the T-virus. They find a shipping container and no less than 30 million zombie men come running out of it. Umbrella try to turn Alice off using the satellite since she is sort of a robot now thanks to the T-virus, but Alice has done so much training while asleep that she knows how to hack into the satellite in space while she's deactivated in order to break the satellite in order to turn her powers back on so that she can keep using knives really good. But the bad news is the bad guy gets bitten by a super zombie, which is a zombie which can use a digital camera, and that means that he needs to take lots of antivirus injections, but it turns out too much T-virus antidote turns your hands into like a sort of... Christ, I don't know.
When I read it, I was just so happy because it was such a great script.
Our director has been taken to the hospital.
Alice goes to the lab where the computer girl tells her that they were making the Alice clones in the hopes of finding a cure for the zombies, but it didn't work because they needed the real Alice. And now that the real Alice is here, they can make the cure and end this nightmare. She fights the final boss with a mind battle, but there are two Alices now, so she wins. Alice then phones up Wesker and the film's producers and tells them the sequel needs more Alice, and Alice agrees.
Victor, do you know the Resident Evil films?
No, not that.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh. Use what the words mean to
Okay.
put them in order.
Okay, oh shit. Afterlife. It is about zombies, right? Afterlife might be first, so that's referring to the zombies. It's like you're alive after death. So okay, afterlife. Retribution is, it's the retribution for everything that happened in the first one. Extinction is like, fuck, I'm gonna, they're gonna they're gonna be extinct now. They did like a fourth one. It's like, we can't milk anymore.
So you're thinking the final chapter is that's the penultimate.
Yeah, we're done. And then like a few years later, they're like, oh no, we could milk a little bit more. And then apocalypse is just everything. Correct? Oh,
there's the actual order.
Oh no. So nothing right.
Nothing right.
Nothing right. Okay.
You did nothing right.
Nothing right. Damn.
You've continued to do nothing right. Still, I mean,
it's a red thread in my life.
A familiar feeling.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
So I mean, you're not.
I'm not shocked.
You're not outside your comfort zone.
No.
So just think, apocalypse, the first.
Apocalypse is just the first. Like everything is just
it's
apocalyptic.
over.
It's over, and then
it's
extinction.
extinction. But then afterlife.
It's just it comes back. They're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. And then retribution.
Finally, time for some retribution.
And this makes sense.
The final chapter. You think does that make sense to you?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It was kind of obvious, actually.
It is kind of obvious.
I mean, if you think about it just for a second,
I wouldn't have been.
The final chapter.
Resident Evil Afterlife. Wow, look at the 3Ds.
Alice shows up at the Umbrella base under Tokyo and spins and stuff, and then there's more Alices and she says, "Is that any way to treat a lady?" And the audience goes, "No, it isn't. God, I'm so glad they made another one of these films." Wesker dies in an explosion but is fine. Then he gets on a helicopter and hits the Akira button to kill all the clones. So now there's only one Alice left, I guess, and Wesker takes away her powers by giving her an injection of graphics. And in the first truly great creative decision made since this film franchise began, the T-Virus is actually shaped like the letter T. Wesker is about to kill Alice but hits a mountain instead and becomes an advert for Sony 3D televisions.
When I first got the script, I called up my agent and I said, it has to be some kind of practical joke.
Poochie goes to Alaska and finds Claire, who has lost her memories from smoking too damn much herb. Then they fly to Hollywood because who fucking cares? There are survivors on a roof who have kept their facial hair very neat through 5 years of zombie hell. These Hollywood types. Also, zombies can do this now, so it's time to go. Hang on, sorry. At the end of the last film, Alice was told her blood contained the cure for the zombie outbreak and everything she needed to end this nightmare was there in the lab, so did she just not? I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm asking questions. Besides, here's Chris Redfield.
When I was offered the part, I thought I'd do some research online. And what I found online just by Googling images was that Chris Redfield was this kind of massive, bulked up character. So right from the start, I thought, well, I'm not sure I'll be able to bring that to the table. But then when I started to watch these sequences from the video game, I saw something completely different. There was something kind of innocent about him.
Chris is happy to see Claire alive, but she doesn't remember him because of all that green goblin. Hammerman shows up and starts hammering and someone says, "What the fuck is that thing?" And everyone pretends not to hear them because the writer doesn't know either. Alice then does a bunch of stuff that presumably look amazing in 3D, including glowing blue. But no matter how blue she glows, it doesn't stop her being killed by Hammerman, so it's up to Claire, who says, "Winners do drugs," and down goes Johnny Just Say No. And Alice is fine, actually. So they go down a hole, fade to white, and they're on a boat. Alice walks around the big boat, pretending to see things.
To your left here, in this green bay here, is a V-22.
Right.
And then the green bay beyond, there's another one, and then another 3 beyond that, so there's 5 in total.
Probably a good 50% of the movie is shot, on green screen.
All the humans who are still alive are being kept on the boat, but so is Wesker. Some truly bewildering things begin to happen, all thanks to, presumably, the T-Virus. Chris and Claire then take Wesker into custody using reasonable force. Look, he was clearly about to stream a video game, okay? They're heroes. Then Wesker escapes, but then he explodes again. The film then teases a conclusion, but sorry, there's actually 3 more hours to go. Why are Umbrella trying to kill the only people left alive? You're looking at 100% market share right there on that boat.
Gamezilla, this is super exciting. Big fan of your stuff.
Thank you. It is very good.
Yeah.
And you... What do you...
Nothing.
Well, here's something for you to do. I want you to put those in order of release.
Oh, okay. I've watched all these movies in the last 12 months. It's not helping at all. First of all, you gotta have your apocalypse, right? Because that's the inciting incident, surely. But then, you gotta get your retribution for the apocalypse. You gotta take revenge for the human race. And your retribution goes so cataclysmically wrong, it results in an extinction. And then, of course, the second last one is logically the final chapter. And then after the final chapter, there is the afterlife. Hope. Hope springs eternal.
Absolutely. The phoenix rises.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. So there's this. Oh. Okay.
Apocalypse. Yeah. Oh no. No.
No. You know what? It's not even kind of close.
No, actually.
I would go as far as to say you got one correct.
Yeah. I'd go so far as to say it was a complete disaster.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The one thing that you had to do, the one thing you were given to do.
Yeah, I failed.
You failed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. I'm looking forward to the video.
Resident Evil Retribution.
Maybe I'm just feeling defeated, but I kinda like this intro. Maybe all the films should have been in reverse. Alice may have mastered the art of killing people with shotguns that fire nickels and glowing blue on command, but now it's time for the greatest challenge of all, parenthood. Let's take a moment to appreciate all the moms out there just doing their best, all under some pretty stressful pressures. Alice makes a break for it through the attic where she discovers a stockpile of Scrubs DVDs and wanking comics, but they're not real. Alice is actually in an Umbrella base, but she gets her hands on their official cybergoth uniform and escapes into a fake Tokyo, complete with 2012 GameStop that still sells games instead of just Harry Potter t-shirts. Wesker is alive again, I think. His face has such a smooth surface, I'm not sure if this is CG or not. So because the writer regrets destroying the world in the third film, the action now takes place in massive underground recreations of major cities. Welcome to the Contrivance Dome. My question is, did Umbrella secure the rights to use all these logos in their underground testing base? How complicit is Pepsi Max in all this? I do look to major brands for moral guidance after all. Oh, I should mention Leon S. Kennedy and Barry Burton are sort of in this film too. Alice and Ada step into Tasha Yar's funeral and find clones. Everyone is here. It's Guy, who died 30 minutes into the first movie. He's back. Jill is bad now, by the way, and fires a thing in slow motion, but Ada stays in real time in order to escape. Remember when Alice was told that she could make a cure to end all this in that lab? Anyway, now there are zombies with guns and driving cars and shooting guns and spinning rims. A zombie does a wheelie.
As producers, we go, well, let's just do it CG. But you generally regret that when you sit in the cutting room and you see it and you go, if I just shot that in-camera live element, it would have made it that much more real.
Barry gets taken out and says, I feel like shit, which has got to be the most human moment in the series so far. They blow up a vent on the surface which destroys the entire base and everyone flies from Russia to the White House and Wesker is the president. Not that he could be doing any worse a job than who we got at the moment. I don't know if you read the papers, but oh. Wesker gives Alice her superpowers back and everyone stands together in a row as they prepare for the final battle.
Resident Evil, the final chapter.
Actually, Wesker didn't give Alice her superpowers back, he just lied, and that was nothing. Also, everyone else is gone, and look, just forget about the last 10 minutes of the previous movie, okay? Actually, forget all of them, because the guy in the second one who invented the T-virus, he didn't. It was just someone else. Look, the important thing is the computer girl says that there is a way to end all this, like that other computer girl said, but now that also didn't happen, sort of. This must be the only series of films that punishes the viewer for paying attention. These films gaslight you. They try to make you feel like you're insane. If Alice drank from a red cup in a film, the next one would tell you that the cup was blue, and then the next one would tell you that she never drank from a cup at all. This isn't me nitpicking minor inconsistencies. This applies to every single thing that happens. Anyway, there are 4,472 people left alive on Earth, and they're all going to die in 48 hours. Why? How? Shut the fuck up. The doctor who turned into Tyrant is still alive because that was a clone from before, yeah? Yeah, so I should just fuck off and die, right? Alice, who now has no superpowers, drives through an explosion and arrives at Raccoon City via the one road in or out of town, I suppose. There she finds a new crew because, hey, someone has to die and it sure as hell isn't going to be Alice, right? Claire is there, but so are zombies, and now the last stand happens. Here's a drinking game for you. Drink every time a shot lasts longer than 4 seconds. You won't even have to open the bottle. I mean, Jesus, look at this. But not directly, obviously. Probably hurt your eyes. There's a magic potion that will save the world in the hive from the first movie, so they go there and Wesker closes the door when they're right outside. Why wait until they're just outside? Why leave it open at all? Why are Umbrella trying to kill everyone? Oh, they actually answer that one at last. And it turns out the hive was originally flooded with the T-virus when the computer heard an employee say Union. Alice finds the Noah's Ark of Umbrella's top brass who are being kept frozen until it's safe to return to the surface. And knowing that there is a good chance that in a few hours these might be the last humans left alive anywhere, Alice still decides she is going to blow them up just because fuck these guys. Making this the first time in the series that she is actually cool. Alice finally makes it to the head office in order to make a formal complaint, but Dr. Tyrant is there, but now it's the real Dr. Tyrant, and the one earlier was a clone, of course. I mean, all the clues were there. He has the magic potion, but he also has robot eyes that can see possible futures, thanks to the T-virus, which, yes, can also let you see the future sometimes. And then who shows up? Only Alice, but old, and tells Alice that she was a clone all along. Also, the computer girl is Alice too. Everyone is Alice. At this point, it's worth mentioning that these films are all written by Milla Jovovich's husband. He writes and directs, casts Milla as half the characters, and boom, they go home with about 40 checks. Nice little racket. The magic potion will kill everything infected with the T-virus if released outside, so if Alice uses it, she'll die. This is a very emotional moment for Alice, who is struggling to come to terms with I cannot believe this editing. This is really how the film is edited. Alice gets outside and smashes the thing, and all the zombies die and she dies but is okay. Why am I still alive? I don't know. So, the verdict. When I decided to do this video, I thought, God, it would be so boring to just say, these movies are dumb, because people know that. But Christ, they really don't give you anything else to say about them. It never bothered me that the Resident Evil films don't care about the games. The problem is, they don't even seem to care about themselves. And if you don't care about yourself, then why would anyone else? Remember to love yourself, everyone. Unless you're a total shitebag. But how can you tell if you're a total shitebag? Well, it's... I mean, you're not getting invited to parties, are you? I mean, do people actively seek your presence? No, they don't. So, yeah, don't love yourself, because you need to change. You need to make some big changes. And you know it. Fucking cop on.